Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Dealership Download. Tonight, on our episode, I am super excited. We're bringing somebody from another side of the industry, on the service side of it all. Before we get started, MadDoc, why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and how people can find you on social media?
Hey guys, my name is Brian. I am the service manager for Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage currently because I am moving here within the next 2 weeks down to Ohio and taking over a service dealership down there, working for BMW. I've been in the industry for over 12 years now. Started out after I got out of the Army in 2014 and started as a technician and worked my way up. Went from a technician to the dark side and went over to be an advisor, then an assistant service manager and service manager. I've worked for several different brands, starting out with Volkswagen, then moving to Audi, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, Kia, Hyundai, Dodge, and back to Mercedes-Benz. So all this
Got quite a bit
all
of
operations.
kind of bit of experience with all different brands.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you said that you were in the military right before you got into the automotive industry. What made you decide to get into the industry?
You know, it's actually kind of crazy. As a kid, my stepfather was also in the auto industry. He was a technician and auto body painter. And he worked for a company out of Tacoma, Washington called Osborne McCann Cadillac. And that's really where I started. You know, I go to the shop with him quite often. I was fascinated with being in the shop and seeing the technicians work. And that's really kind of what started the bug, I would say. But then what really started me with it was my first car was a 66 Bug. And I pulled that off of the side of my mom's house and started wrenching on it and was able to actually get that thing running. Built the car up and then it got sold out from underneath me. And by that time I already caught the itch. And so I'd been building cars throughout my entire military career. As a hobby, I was sponsored for racing for a little while. I was sponsored for show cars as well. And then from there, you know, it kind of turned into what am I going to do when I get out of the Army? And I decided to take my hobby and turn it into a career. Not hindsight being 2020, probably not the best idea just because your hobby becomes work and then it's no longer fun, it's work. But as I transitioned through that career and got into the advisor side, that hobby just sprung right back. So I still build cars, I still do that, all that stuff. But now I manage a shop and I have the time to actually work on my things when I'm not working at work.
What kind of projects are you currently working on right now?
So I sold my biggest project, which was my 92 Corrado because of my move, which is a Volkswagen, pretty rare Volkswagen. A lot of people don't know what that is. Everybody's like, oh, it's a Golf. It's not a Golf. It's not a Passat either. It's a weird niche vehicle that Volkswagen produced from 1990 to 1993 here in the United States. And all the way to 1995 and the rest of the world. Kind of a cool car, and it's always been a passion of mine. This is my fourth one, and I will buy another one when I get down to the lower 48. And then I have my Audi RS4 that I'm working on as well, and customizing and making my own, but keeping it very true to the RS line. And then I have a modified Toyota Tacoma that I've been building for 7-8 years now, maybe more. But yeah, there's pretty much the only thing that's stock on it is the body and the frame at this point.
Changing all of it up.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question for you is, I know you're kind of more on service side of everything and not on the sales side of everything, but you're in a lot of lives with us. You get to hear a lot of things and be a part of a lot of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing about the industry you wish you could change, and why is that the one thing you want to change?
I'm gonna ask you a question just to kind of help me rephrase this, because what I want to change or what I have changed in my industry on my end that I hope to continue to change throughout the industry. Would that be a better?
Give us both answers.
Okay. Biggest thing is congruency between the departments, both variable and fixed operations. What I mean by variable is the sales side, and fixed operations is parts and service. So having that congruency, that communication, and that understanding between the two. A lot of dealerships and a lot of dealerships I've worked at, even as a technician, not only did I not understand it as a technician, but most technicians don't understand what sales does other than sell cars. And most technicians also don't understand exactly what visors do either, or what parts does. So it's having that congruency and that transparency between the departments, so that everybody kind of understands what page we're on, and being able to work through those operations to ultimately succeed at the goal. I translate a lot of this to my military career. You may be like, I was a medic, but I had to understand what the infantry did. I had to understand what artillery did. I had to understand what the whole battlefield footprint did from my perspective. Now, did that mean I knew exactly what my commander was going to decide or what my commander was going to do every second of the day? No. Same with my first sergeant or my leadership. But having that understanding and having that mutual respect between the different branches of the different operation fields builds a team, and instead of segregating everybody. And so that's my biggest thing, is building a team and building a cohesive unit. So that way we can accomplish the mission, which is ultimately in our industry is taking care of the customer, the guest. That person right there is realistically what pays all of our bills. It's not the dealership, it's not the person's name on the outside the dealership that really pays our bills. It's the guest and the customer coming in the door. And that's what we're here for, is to help them and advise them and get them on the right track, whether that's a car sale, whether that's servicing their vehicle, or whether that's just giving them advice.
Solid answer. I mean, there's no way around it. So that leads kind of in my next question is, in your way and the ways you have done it, what is the best way to bridge variable and fixed ops together as one team?
I like that you asked that. I teach the why. I've been talking about that in a few lives. That's the biggest thing that I think that bridges those gaps. Teach, coach, and mentor, but teach the why. Teach why we do it this way. Teach why sales is asking for this to be done so late in the day when they had all day to do it. Well, that's how we see it on our side. It's that perception, right? But realistically, we don't know what they're doing all day. We don't know what their kind of appointments are, what customers walking through the door wanting to look at XY vehicle that's been on the lot for, 4 months and the battery's been smoked because no one's going to touch the car. And now it has a check engine light on it. They had to go out and jump it. Now what do we do, right? So if we teach the why and we build that into our daily systems as leaders, and when I say leaders, I don't mean just management. I truly treat everybody in my dealership as a leader. In their own facet. And that means staying in their lane, but teaching them the why of their lane to build into that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So, when it comes to technicians, I teach them the why. Why are we doing it this way? Why do we inspect a vehicle this way? Why do we do tech videos? Why is the service advisor coming to you stressed out? Bridging that gap, and the same thing I do with my advisors, same thing I do with my porters, same thing I do with even the salesmen that come in my office pretty much all day. So, they're asking for help, and that's what I'm there for. And so I not only do I help them, but I also teach them why this has to be this way, or why we do this operation this way.
I mean, there's no way around it. Everybody has to understand the why behind they're doing it. I'm
Yep.
the same way. If I don't understand why I'm doing something, I get nothing from it, right?
Oh yeah.
It's
I mean,
just
think about
I'm
it like this,
checking a
Taylor.
box.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it like this. If I said I was in your dealership, Taylor, and I said, "Hey, Taylor, I need you to do take these photos this way every single time," you're going to say, "Okay, boss, Roger," and you're going to go take those photos every single way at the same time. But you're not going to understand why you're taking the photos the same way, right? And it may be congruency where we have on our website, we want all the photos done this way so that it shows on the website the same way. So when a customer goes through, they're going to expect the same series of photos. I'm going to get 4 outside photos, and I'm going to get 4 inside photos. I'm going to get an odometer photo, and then it's going to go through the nitty gritty with the engine bay, wheels, whatever. But it makes it so it's a repeatable process, so we don't miss steps. Same with my porter. Hey, why do we wash the car this way? Well, we don't want to miss any spots. I don't want you starting on one section and then dipping back in and then rubbing a completely different section that may be dirtier and create scratches, right? Those micro scratches, swirls, things like that. So if you teach the why to their role, they're going to understand and say, Brian was right. If I do it this way, it doesn't screw something up. If I do it this way, it makes it so everybody's on the same page. And so that's the biggest reason why I operate in that mentality.
So you're the first person that we've had on our podcast on the service side. If
Mm-hmm.
you could give one piece of advice to somebody on the variable side to kind of help bridge that gap, what would your piece of advice be? Whether it's for somebody who sells cars, somebody who's a finance manager, sales manager, GSM, GM, what can they do to help?
Get to know your team. The biggest thing that we have is we have a bunch of salesmen. Excuse me, my back's kind of just a little tight. We have a bunch of salesmen that they understand the sales side, right? But what do you see in a lot of dealerships? Danny, Zach, Taylor, you've seen it all, right? You've seen salesmen who stick their nose up. Oh, I'm a salesman. I don't need to do that. Or, oh, I don't need to do this. Or, I don't need to go talk to that guy, right? The biggest thing, and I've said this in lives many times, as a technician, there was many dealerships I was at where I didn't know the GM. I didn't know the GSM. I didn't know half the sales team. I didn't know anybody other than my direct involvement in the shop. I didn't even know detailers half the time, And so how do you feel as somebody who doesn't know the rest of your team? And then all of a sudden we get all together for like a holiday luncheon, which we do quite often for the holidays. And you're looking at these people like, who are these guys? Right? They're all strangers. Get to know your team, big dealership or small dealership. Get to know the people that that work on the cars. It's not about getting gifts. It's not about bringing donuts. That's great stuff. We will remember that as a technician or as a service manager or as an advisor. We'll remember that from you guys, but we may not remember your name, because if you only do it once, how am I gonna associate that with anything other? That's the person that the guy with the funny hair. He brought us donuts that one day. That was cool. Like that's all we got. But if you actually go through the shop, talk to the technicians, go see your advisors, walk the drive, walk the lane. That's a huge, huge thing that a lot of salesmen just don't want to do, or a lot of leadership, have no desire to do. And that's the same with parts. Think about a car that you have on your lot right now that's being reconned, and you're waiting for parts, and you have no idea why it's taking so long. You know how easy it is to walk over to the parts department and go say hi to those guys and get to know them by name. They may be able to overnight that part for you. They may be able to stop order over the night a new part that's going to be here faster, so you can get the car sold because you have a customer looking at buying the car. Things like that. Being able to build that relationship so that way we can take care of each other. Another thing that I think that salesmen really should capitalize on is, in a lot of dealerships I've worked at, salesmen usually roll in between 9, 9:30, 10, right? Some even later, depending on the day or what their mission operation is. But what it really comes down to is show up early, volunteer one day just to come in and be a shuttle driver. If you're down on sales, that's probably going to be the fastest way to make a sale. Now, is it always going to work? No, but what that does is that bridges that gap with that customer too, right? You're helping the advisor, which is going to put you, they're going to remember your name. But then also at the same time, that customer is going to remember you too, right?
Yeah.
Have a pocket full of business cards. Hand them out. Hey, Mr. Customer, thanks for coming in today. What are you coming into service for? Oh, yeah, I got this going on. Oh, yeah, what year is your vehicle? Oh, it's a 2019, yada, yada, yada. Oh, huh. All right. Have you looked at turning in? Yeah, but I'm not really there yet. Well, hey, no worries. I'm not trying to sell you a car, but in the future, if you're looking for one, here's my business card. Go ahead and take it. They'll remember that. So it may not be something you sell then, but it may be something you sell 6 months from now.
Yes.
Things like that. But then you also build that gap with the advisor who's stressed out because their porter that's supposed to be the shuttle driver, it hasn't returned from the last trip. And now you're there as a supplementer. You could take a loaner car, take that customer out, and get them, get that customer to where they need to go, either at work or home. And you build a relationship with that advisor. Now think about it. If that same advisor has a car that gets back from the technician and basically the car's totaled due to the repairs. It's not totaled in the sense of being wrecked, but it's totaled because the cost of repair. Hey, Taylor, I got this car. It's a 2017 GLS and it needs a new engine. It's the repair on that engine, because it's a 4-liter V8, is about $124,000. This customer is going to be super upside down. They just bought the car last year. here, take this information. Can you see if you can reach out to the customer? Maybe we can find a way to make this customer happy with the bad news, right? What does that do for you? It may be a mini, it may not be a big deal, but what it would do for you is it'll again, what are we here for? Helping the guest, helping the customer, building that relationship, right? So it's something that we can do that is not tapped into.
So for all of you that are listening, make sure you write that down because that is actually a huge piece of advice that will help you out. Even going in 30 to 45 minutes early to talk with just your service advisors, the technicians, the parts, just to get to know them is very, very critical. I knew all of my people, first names, last names. I knew what they drove, if they were married, if they had kids, all of that stuff. And then on the floor, if they were buying a car, they were coming to me. If their family was buying a car, they were coming to me. And then if they had somebody in the service drive who was even interested potentially in selling or trading, they were going straight to me. They weren't going to anybody else. So definitely a huge utilization tool. My last question for you before I turn it over to Zach and Danny. What is one piece of advice you have for someone looking to get into the industry, whether it's on the service side or on the sales side?
Stay humble with integrity. And what I mean by that is be humble that you may not get the big job right off the bat. You may not become a salesman right away. You might have to work your way up like I did. You might have to work your way up like several people in the industry where they start out as porters. Be humble with it. Take the grunt work to start with and prove yourself. And then the integrity side comes into play. And this is where it's about accountability for yourself. As a young man or woman coming into this industry, or somebody who this is their third or fourth career, and they're coming in because they're like, maybe I'll give it a shot. The integrity and the accountability, own up to your mistakes, be honest, build that relationship. If something breaks, tell somebody. If you accidentally wreck a car, which happens, especially here in Alaska with the snow and the ice, things happen, in the wintertime up here. Be honest with it. Don't try to hide it. We'll find it, and it will be, terrible. But if you come to us, we've all done it. Not a single person in this industry hasn't wrecked something or broken something. Own it. And then when you talk to a guest, have that same integrity, and be honest. Because realistically, that right there is it's better to be honest and own it than try to hide it and then they find out later. Or they may not find out, but then the next person does. It creates a pattern. So, integrity is absolutely key in this industry. Be open and honest.
Let's give a round of applause for MadDoc on this one. Solid answers.
Let's go, MadDoc.
I have one final question I'm going to ask you, but I'm not going to ask you until the end. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Danny and Zach.
Okay.
Okay, you ready, MadDoc?
Hit me, bro.
So my first question is, why TikTok? Why are you on TikTok? What are you trying to do with TikTok?
So, a lot of people I've talked to, I've talked to several people about, why they're on TikTok, and I consider it myself. This started by me walking into another advisor basically complaining about their job. And that started bothering me. And it bothered me more and more and more. I actually did not start doing lives with other people in the industry. I actually started doing it with the car guys because, people were talking about, oh, yeah, I got all this horsepower. I'm like, well, I've been building cars forever. I could do this. I could talk the talk, walk the walk. So I was enjoying that side of the conversation, that side of the house. And then I stumbled into... It was one of yours. I think it was Zach's. I think Zach, you were the first live I hopped into on the car side, and it was, I think, Danny, you were there. I don't think I met you, Taylor, until a few days afterward. But it started with Zach, and I was like, man, this is kind of cool. And then as I started, getting more and more into it, I was thinking, I kept thinking about that same advisor complaining about his customers, and I was like, this isn't the right. What he's doing is he's making it the customer's fault. And it's not really about the customer. It's about education, right? People come in and they don't know what we do. They just assume that we fix their car. But there's a process to it. We don't have a lot of these, where it's like, oh, well, you could just do it. No, we don't have that, and the assumptions that are made is what I decided I wanted to tackle, if that makes sense.
I like it. I like it. And so obviously you've been starting doing TikTok and stuff like that. Do you have like a Facebook account or a YouTube
Oh, yeah.
account, or just on TikTok?
Oh, I have them all. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. None of them are dedicated to my industry. I don't really dedicate one focus to this. I use my personal accounts for anything I talk about when it comes to automotive. Not because I, feel it's bad or good. I don't have anything to hide. So it's not like I'm doing this for fame and fortune or glory, or I'm trying to be, super popular on TikTok. I mean, I think I just broke 600 followers on TikTok. And it's like, oh, that's cool. But I'm not like this, I'm not doing this for, publicity or anything like that. I really just want to help people. So for me, it's, yeah, you guys get the real me. I mean, if you guys look at my TikTok or my Instagram or my Facebook, it's just me. There's, it's my personal life. I'm not hiding anything, and I have nothing to, be ashamed of or, make this into a business, because I already do business stuff with work. I don't need to do business stuff at home too.
And so when you're not at the dealership and when you're not on TikTok, what's your hobbies? Like, what do you like to do? Like, do you like to fish? You like to camp? Like, what do you like to do outside?
Oh man, I mean, I'm going to ask, can we talk about what I like to do?
Yeah, let's talk about, like, what do you like to do?
Okay, so I'm an avid shooter. I've been shooting for many years. I was a shooting instructor for quite some time, both in the military and then short time while I was in the civilian world. I had the certifications for it, but now I just do it for fun, and I take people out to the range and teach them a few things. I love shooting. It's been a huge passion of mine. I love building firearms as well. I have several firearms. All of them are customized, and it's something I enjoy doing. I also love to fish, snowboard, hike. Not really hunt. I used to hunt, but it's not something that's like I would say a passion of mine. For sustenance, totally get it. I love it, and but it's not something I just do on the regular. Last time I was hunting was like 4 or 5 years ago now, so it's not like something I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go. It's just like I like to shoot. I like to put holes in paper. And I love doing that. I also build models. Been building models since I was a kid. It helps with my PTSD, and it helps kind of just re-centralize me. So, I got a few models up here. So I was a Bradley driver and a Bradley gunner when I was infantry before I became a medic. And so this is a M2 A2 Bradley that I built, basically from very ugly tan plastic to this. Also build RC cars and RC trucks and do like the whole crawling and drifting stuff. So yeah, been doing that for a long time. Build cars. Yeah, I've been doing that forever too. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I don't like to sit still.
So what's the farthest you've shot? Like a mile, 2 miles?
No, I mean, you got to think when you're shooting that distance, everything comes into play. I was not that when I was infantry. I was a designated marksman for a short time. So I was trained to shoot out to about between 600 to 800 meters consistently. Did I ever engage that far in real life scenario? No. Can I do it on paper? Yeah. In the most comfortable positions, absolutely. But even shooting out to like 800 meters, you're talking basically 8 football fields, goalpost to goalpost.
Yeah, that's far.
It's pretty far. With the right optic, you can see it. Some guys are, I can do it with iron sights. Cool, man. Do it. Am I going to do it? Hell no. So, but yeah, no, I definitely love shooting. I have built a few guns for distance shooting, but they're all sub 1,000 meter guns. I wouldn't want to try to push my luck out there. Have I considered getting into that kind of discipline? Absolutely. My best friend was a sniper in the Army, and he definitely had that discipline. But for me, it's not something that I truly aspire for, I would say.
So one last question before I hand it over to Zach. You're starting a garage thing. I don't know what's called with you, Mopar, and Caroline. Tell us a little bit about that because I've been watching it and it's kind of interesting how it's like sales guy, and like you three, like the amazing duo, like us three, we have our different thing. How's that going? Like, what's it about?
So that's the buyer's garage. We are still kind of in its infancy. We're trying to figure out the quirks with the our personalities, building that together. Um, it's me, Mopar Dad, and Caroline Cargirl, and it's really awesome. What it basically is we're not there to sell cars. We're not there to um, you know necessarily fix the customer's concerns, but we are there to give advice and guidance and try to build that bridge between the guest and the dealerships. We're not there bad mouthing other dealerships. We're not there to uh, talk bad about anybody. Realistically, what it comes down to is for us to help educate both dealerships and customers on best practices when they have a difference of opinion or a problem customer or problem car. And then on the other side of things, when a customer feels that the dealership has taken advantage of a situation, how we could best advise the customer or the guest to go a different route, or to use these tools to make that experience better for them. Because again, tools don't have to be something you hold in your hand. A tool could be that proper learning and that proper experience to make that happen.
I like it. Well, that's all the questions for me. Your turn, Zach.
All right. So my first question is Alaska and now Ohio.
Yep.
How did this all come about?
Well, I got stationed in Alaska back in 2011. This is my last studio station up here. And this is my third time actually living in Alaska too. So kind of funny. I moved away right after I got out of the Army to go to school for automotive. And that's where I started my career, was down in Sacramento, California. I went to UTI of Sacramento. And at that time I was working for Volkswagen. Worked for Volkswagen throughout my entire tenure at UTI. Graduated with honors. I had several SOCs. I had a 4.0 GPA. I had a lot of things. It was cool, but that's school. That's not real life, right? I wanted to get into the industry as fast as possible. So 6 months before I graduated, let me back up a little bit. Every quarter at UTI, every 3 months, they do a job fair. Okay. And so dealerships and auto groups can come in and interview students. And that could be from their student from their first class to their last class. And so I had been in talks with a couple auto groups about a year before I graduated. And it kind of came down to the 6 months before I graduated. It was basically two auto groups, Kendall Auto Group and or at that time it was Larson Auto Group. And Kendall was wanting me for, I think it was to stay with Volkswagen, if I remember right. And Larson wanted me to go to Audi. And I was super stoked to go to Audi because I'm a Volkswagen guy through and through. I'm like, yes, stay with the brand, but I get to go up. I get to go to that next higher echelon, which I thought Audi was like the coolest brand, and I still do. Hey, anybody who says I work for Mercedes, I love Mercedes too. Don't get me wrong, but as far as for the cars I love, even though they're super complicated, Audi just tickles that itch for me. They always have. And same with Volkswagen, because Volkswagen's kid nostalgia 101 for me. It kind of went down to I chose Larson, and so 6 months before I graduated, they actually hired me. They gave me I think it was like a $10,000 tool stipend or a $5,000 tool stipend and $5,000 in moving expenses or something like that. It was like $10,000 total. And so I moved to Washington. Now at the same time, Kendall was really wanting me too. But I went with the cooler option, and it was going back to my home state and pretty much my hometown. So got through there, and I was there with them for a year, and Kendall, the recruiter for Kendall, kept hitting me up. And at that time, my ex, who was living with me in Sacramento, had moved back to Alaska because we met in Alaska. And so I had the opportunity to go back to Alaska to work for Kendall Auto Group, sticking with Audi and Porsche because I'd actually transitioned to Porsche also as a technician with Larson. And so I was kind of, in between the two, and things were going really well. But Kendall kept hitting me up. And so I finally pulled the trigger and said, okay, if you guys pay for my move to Alaska, I'll go. And so I did. And I came back to Alaska. So now I'm here the second time. And things were cool. I was here in Alaska. I get back on the boots on the ground, and then I'm not going to say Kendall lied to me. More so, as you guys know in the dealership, it's not really that somebody lies. It's usually something that just transitions rapidly, and we just have to pivot, right? New dealership or new GM comes in, a new service manager comes in, or a new service manager leaves, or something happens, and we have to pivot, right? So that's basically what happened to me. Is I get up here and they're like, "Hey, so we don't have any room for you at Audi or Porsche right now," and they're like, "But you're a European technician. You can go work for another European brand, right?" I'm like, "What brand?" I'm thinking Volkswagen, right? They're like, no, Mercedes Benz. I'm like, I've
Sure.
2 oil changes on a Mercedes Benz ever. And so that's how I started with Mercedes Benz, actually, is that whole switcheroo, like, aha, gotcha. So and it was a culture shock. Definitely coming to Alaska, at the dealerships I'd worked at before, the teams were pretty well tight knit. The technicians helped each other out. The advisors were cool. It was very well established dealerships for a very long time, pedigree. What I didn't know coming up here is that Kendall had just purchased these auto groups about a year beforehand, or these dealerships about a year beforehand, and just got their foot into the market. So I did not, I was not prepared for what I found in these dealerships, and it was definitely not that way. It was very cutthroat. It was very, figure it out on your own. Don't bother me kind of, technicians, and really pretty much everybody there. The advisor was cool. Lucky, shout out to Lucky, is awesome. I think he's right now in either Arizona or Texas. Lucky is such a good dude. But he was my first service advisor with Mercedes Benz. And so that's kind of like how I started up here. And I worked for Mercedes for, I think it was like 4 or 6 months, something to that effect. And then Kendall's like, "Oh, hey, we have room for you now, and we're opening up this new dealership that we promised you finally. So why don't you come back over to Audi, and then you'll work here for a month, and then you'll help transition everybody to the new dealership." I'm like, cool. So I do that, and we get to the new dealership, and then it's crickets. We went from I would say about 15, maybe 18 appointments a day for Audi and Porsche down to like 4. And so like most of the time I'm sitting in my toolbox doing this, just loving life as a flat rate technician. Luckily and fortunately for me, the service director I had at the time kind of saw the writing on the wall that, hey, I'm not doing so well over there, and not really a lot of the technicians are. And because I'm the newest guy in the totem pole at that dealership, maybe it'd be better to move him back over to Mercedes-Benz because he already kind of knows the brand now. And I was doing really well at Mercedes, and they were much busier. So he approached me and said, "Hey, Brian, do you want to go back to Mercedes? They need a technician, and you were crushing it over there." And I'm like, "Send me back. I'll go back right now. I'll pack my tools right now." And I will say this, between the brands I worked on, especially with Mercedes-Benz, and then the Audi, Porsche, and Volkswagen brands, those 2 different auto groups are incredible. 2 different brands, Porsche, Audi, and Volkswagen, I consider kind of, they're not the same brand, but they all have this very, similar pedigree, and then Mercedes-Benz has its own. Working with Volkswagen, Audi, and Porsche versus Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, Audi, and Porsche, very, very incredible cars. But they're semi overcomplicated, and they don't think about the technician when things go together or come apart. Mercedes is more refined in that aspect. Now, if I was to put an RS7 or an RS6 next to an E53, which one would I choose? The RS6 every time. The styling, the engine, the way it sounds, the speed, it just again tickles me. But would I rather work on the R6 or would I rather work on the Mercedes? I'd say the Mercedes every time, hands down. And that's just the way I see it, and I break it down as the Mercedes-Benz is much more user-friendly for the technician. Their interface systems, the Zentry system is incredible. Their repair manuals, repair documentation also is extremely top-notch. They really do go through these cars. And the engineering behind it is just of all of these brands I'm talking about is incredible. It's different thought process and different mentality when it comes to it. So yeah, that's how I got up here the second time, and then was it January 2nd of 2020, and minus 62 degrees in Toke through Whitehorse. I drove the Alcan back down south to Utah, and I started working at Ken Garff Mercedes-Benz in Salt Lake. Right in the beginning of COVID. The worst time to be a technician in this industry. Great time for a salesman, terrible time to be a tech. And a terrible time to be the new fish again at a new dealership. So got down there. I was also having some issues with my back, and I was pretty miserable. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Was I a good technician? Absolutely. But by this time, my back was just not in it. I couldn't bend over an engine bay for very long without my back locking up. I found out I have disc degenerative disease basically all through my mid-thoracic all the way to my lower lumbar, and herniations going in multiple different directions from my time in the military. And back in 2018, I had a full annular tear in my L5S1. I tried to tough it out and it just was not working. So I was looking to try to transition into an advisor role. And Ken Garff just did not have anything for me, and the auto groups in the area just weren't hiring. COVID hit us pretty hard, and by May, I was, at a point in my career where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I still love the industry, and I still wasn't just sure where I was going to go. So by May timeframe, Lithia Auto Group here in Alaska had hit me up, and they said, "Hey, we know you've been a technician. You have a pretty good reputation up here. Have you thought about being an advisor?" And I'm like, actually, yeah, I have. But you guys are in Alaska. I don't want to go back to Alaska. I've been there twice now. I don't want to go back. They're like, well, if you think about it some more, we'll happily talk about it. And I'm like, okay. So I just kind of kept that in the back of my mind. COVID was getting worse. The whole 6 foot, have to wear masks in a 100-degree shop. Yeah. It was a pretty miserable time, and so by August, I made the decision again to come back up to Alaska. Part of that decision again was the same ex. I ain't gonna lie to you guys there, but I came back again, and I was like, surprise, Alaska, I'm back, and started working with Lithia Kia in Anchorage, and that's the start of my advisor career, and then. I was an advisor for about 2.5 years before I got picked up for Mercedes-Benz to be their advisor, which was actually, I got interviewed for the service manager position, but then didn't get the I did, but then that's what I was hired for, but didn't. And that was in 2022. And so it was like, I got you again. And so, I can't make this up. So, I became a service advisor for Mercedes-Benz in December 2022. And they promised me the world because they were like, well, we kind of screwed up. But, here you go. You're going to get this instead. I'm like, all right, I'll take that. I warned them, but they didn't want to listen, And so I took that and I ran with it. And I did extremely well and ended up in March of 2023 become the assistant service manager, but I was still the only advisor, so I was basically the same guy doing the same thing with the same pay. I just had a new title, which is it's almost like a lateral promotion in the military. A specialist and a corporal, they're basically they're the exact same rank. The corporal is supposed to be an NCO, but none of the specialists see him that way. They just see him as the same as him. So it was basically the same kind of lateral transition. I'm just like, yeah, all right, cool. So I did that through August of 2023. Lithia was wanting me to come back to be an advisor trainer, and that's what I kind of was on paper was I was an advisor trader, but I really came back to be basically an assistant service manager for Lithia Hyundai in Anchorage as well. And then worked through that and was really at that point, I was like, man, I keep getting promised things and things keep getting changed. I don't know what's going on here, guys. So I was at that point in my career, wasn't really sure if I was going to stay, to be honest with you. And I'm sure you guys have all been there too in this industry, am I really going to keep doing this? And so I decided to stay. But that time, the service director that I was working with, his name's Matt, really awesome guy. He was like, hey, let's send you over to Dodge. We got a new service manager over there. They got a really tenured service advisors, but I want you to train up their quick lube lane. So I'm like, sure, I can do that. And so I go over there. About 2 days before I get there, all of the quick lube advisors quit, and 2 quick lube technicians quit too. So I'm like, yeah, I go over there to an absolute mess.
They're like, got you again.
Yep, got me again. Like, 5 Ds of dodgeball, right? Just gotta learn how to do, roll with punches. So I'm over there now, and I'm working through it. Nothing bad. It's just again, not expecting this and not expecting me to beat this again. But here I am again, so I could do this fine. And they're compensating me really well for it, though. They're like, hey, this is not what we were expecting. You're going to stay at this same commission rate. We're not going to drop you down to an express lube advisor, commission rate. And I'm like, all right, cool. Don't screw me over, please. So I did that for about 4 to 6 months, and then I got a phone call from Mercedes-Benz again, and they're like, this one is actually from the area controller, and she called me up. She's like, would you be interested being the service manager? I'm like, yeah. But am I really going to be the service manager?
Yeah.
And she busted out laughing, and because she knew about that whole fiasco. And so I ended up doing a dinner interview with the general manager at the time, and one thing led to another, and so now I'm here as a service manager. That was in 2024. It's been it'll be officially 2 years, a couple days before I leave. Being 6 years in Alaska, 6 months of cold, 6 months of winter, 6 months, of darkness, and just, I'm over it. At least in Ohio, I have 4 even seasons, and they're pretty freaking
You
even.
think?
Tornadoes.
You think?
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm good with cold. I'm just not good with 6 months of cold, okay? And driving on ice is not a great time, and it beats the shit out of your vehicles. So, realistically for me, it comes down to I want to transition from Alaska, what I've learned here and what I've been able to develop this team into, and take that down to another dealership and continue that same process and that same procedure to be able to develop another dealership to operate. Realistically, this past 6 months with my dealership, I've honestly been bored. And it's not bored because I don't have the work. I'm bored because I built my team so well that I can literally walk away and my team is able to stand on their own. And what that comes down to is, like I said, I don't develop people, I develop leaders. And that's the biggest thing I want to incorporate with moving into my next dealership is being able to have people take accountability for their actions and lead their lane, their side of the mission. And if I can build that into them, then I can do the same thing again and be bored and be like, man, I miss having all that work. But, and because it makes the day go by longer. But at the end of the day, then I can find the small nuances that need to be repaired. The small things that will kind of keep my day going. When I say bored, I'm not bored because I don't have work. I'm bored because I don't have the customer facing anymore. I'm not having to deal with all the upset customers. My customers are happy. My CSI is good. I have customers that come in and want to give me a hug now. Brian, hey, how's it going? And, these are the same customers I worked on their vehicle as a technician back in 2017 and 2018 and 2019. So it's really cool being able to see that transition. And I hope that I can build that same, customer base and that same clientele and that same team in Ohio. So very long, Zach. Very, very long
okay.
Love
explanation.
it.
But
Love
That's
it.
I
what
hope
this is
that
all about. That's what this is all about. So, well, that'll lead me into my next question. We've been
I'll keep this one
asking
short.
you, we've been asking you questions all night. So, do you, flipping the script, have any questions for anybody here on the panel?
Yeah. What are you guys doing in your dealerships? And I'm going to ask this for all three of you, and I'd love to answer from all three. What are you guys doing in your dealerships, either day to day or monthly checks with your team to be able to build your guys' team the way you see or you envision your area operating?
Go ahead, Taylor. You can go first.
Mine's going to be the short answer. As everybody knows, I just moved to Texas. So I'm just now starting at a new store. So I'm right now just figuring out the store that I'm at, the people that I'm working with, everybody who's in the store and kind of their processes and how everything's ran. So really my answer is boring because I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm
Okay.
still trying to stick both feet in and figure it all out.
Now, Taylor, I'm going to ask you a question on top of that. Have you learned the majority of the people's names there yet?
Yes, actually.
Good. That is a good
Yes.
start. Okay. And how many technicians do you guys have, out of curiosity?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 10 in total, I'm pretty sure.
That's big.
Impressive. So you're able to learn those people's names and they know who you are walking through the dealership. That's awesome. That's the foundation, Taylor. That's really the foundation. Okay. Good job. Danny, what's up, buddy?
Mine's easy, man. Like I get in the morning, I make sure like the toilets are clean, and I just stock up the refreshment. No, just kidding.
Janitor. No, I'm kidding.
Senior janitor, okay? Let's get that straight. Senior.
Own it, right? No, I'm kidding, man. Keep going.
No, so I just do sales. So I started actually out as a receptionist at my store. Left, came back. I'm like you. I've been back 3 times at the same store. I'm not gonna go into that big because that's a huge thing. But receptionist, internet sales, and I just they got rid of the internet sales side because we're such a small store. So now all the leads are round robin. So I just sell cars. That's all I do. Just make sure customers are happy. I mean, I post all my customers on Facebook and get a lot of referrals and the thing about it is like I'm the only one in sales that speaks Spanish, so I get a lot of Hispanics that come to me and stuff like that. So it's been great. I mean, I've been there now 10 years. Well, this time around, I've been back 7 years, but if we count the total time, it's like 11. So, but
And you
this
know
time,
the whole team, I'm assuming, and you guys you work with your whole team, right?
oh yeah, dude. I mean, here's a very interesting part. A service, not I mean, a salesperson left the sales department to go work on the service side, which I
As an advisor or as a technician?
as an advisor,
Cool. I've
which
seen a couple of those. Yeah.
which I worked like we worked so great, which we still do. Like he's like, hey, this customer might need an engine or something. You might want to switch them out. So then he sends me referrals, and I'm like, hey, dude, what do you want for lunch? Like I take care of you, you take care of me. So it's
Well,
been great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And Zach,
Well, you
the
seen
man, the myth, the legend.
yeah, you seen my dealership. We
I've
are
seen your dealership.
yes. So it is small. I mean, there's two salespeople. There is my owner, my operating owner. There's two owners that you didn't see that never come to the store.
Mhm.
And then my techs. My techs have been there. I mean, we've went through a few. We just lost one, but we're all. I know everybody because I mean, heck, Sunday we just had a nice picnic at it like my owner got like 70 pounds of pulled pork made for. I mean, it was a good time.
Ooh.
Yeah, we had a
Hey.
Talking about
blast.
sandwiches or something.
Oh, I'm still eating it. So um but I left this dealership. I started it in 18. I left right as the pandemic was hitting. I only had a pre-owned store. It was getting harder and harder to get inventory, and I had to make a financial decision to, make sure I was going to keep going. Um, and then coming back, it's just when I left, I had the new car stores in my area like, oh, hey, they're there. I come back and they're like yeah, they're around. And I'm like, no, no, we're still there. So it's just about I got to get out there and get loud and get everything back. I've been back for it will be 2 years tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary, bro.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll have to. Oh, and good. My owner's not even gonna be there. See, that was my present.
Uh,
But and that's just it is getting it back out there and we had 8 cars when I started, and I think right now we have about 50 cars on the lot right now, which is I'm very happy with 2 salespeople. We're good.
you know, I was impressed actually. So you are the first person I've met off of TikTok
Mhm.
in person. And it was actually I was rather impressed with what your operation is there. I mean, you're just a cool dude to hang out with, regardless. But it was really cool just actually being able to see somebody else from our industry that I've met online, go see them in person, be able to actually touch them, which was kind of cool.
Mhm.
And see how you operate. And your dealership, it is small.
Yep.
But what you guys have is you guys have that personality. You have that interpersonal connection that I think that I think we're all trying to strive for with our guests, our customers, and just anybody that comes into our door is just having that that connection, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you have that and
That is
that's where you're at.
100%. Our referral business is crazy. Like the
Yeah,
number of referrals we get. We don't do a ton of advertisement costs money. We're not big into that, which is again, social media side of it is why that came along. It's because this was free, and anything that I could do to get out there and make it easy, and that's it. And so it's fun. It is
yeah,
fun. And that's my biggest thing about it. People always say, "Oh, are you tired of?" I did new cars for a while before that. And yeah, I miss some of that stuff. I miss the leasing side of it. I see the advantages of it. But
yeah.
when the push comes to shove, I also know I never have to worry about my customers and how they're going to be treated if I take a day off or if I'm there. I don't have to worry about somebody slipping. We all have the same mentality through and through. Me and my service department, we will bump heads, but it's because we're so passionate. It's the funniest thing ever. Everybody says me and my service manager despise each other. If you hear us talking through the day, you would think this too. The minute somebody goes and says, "Oh, they did this wrong and they lied to me," we instantly are like, no, they didn't." We're like, we know like what they really are going to do when it comes to customer service.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Cool, man. And I mean that I think that answers my question pretty thoroughly for all three of you.
That's it. That's it.
So then I've got one final question for you. One final
Purple.
question.
Purple. The answer is purple. Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
If you had the attention of everybody in the automotive industry for 60 seconds, what would you say?
Hi, my name's Brian. No, I don't know.
My name is JF.
Honestly, I really don't know how to answer that. I think that so in my position, and I think this is probably how I'm going to answer this is in my position. Um, I I don't want the spotlight on me. I never have. My biggest thing is the spotlight of my team. My advisor that came in on his day off to make sure his numbers were right. My technician that stayed a couple hours late to help out a sales car that had a check engine light on and needed something really quick, but it turned into something more, and he stayed out and did that. My porter who decided to take it upon himself to make sure a customer's car got washed when it was no one else was there, and decided to stay late to get that car done so the customer could be happy, or going out of their way to walk the lot and clean up the trash. That is where the recognition lies. I don't want the recognition on me. My biggest thing is if I can build it with my team, lead from the front, and that doesn't mean taking on every responsibility or say oh my God, I have to take over for my advisor. No, it's letting my advisors work. And then if they need help, that's where I'm there. They know I can do the job. They've seen me sew. Every single one of my advisors has seen me sew. Every single one of my technicians have seen me wrench. Every single one of my porters have seen me shuttle customers, have seen me wash cars, have seen me do other things around the lot, like doing lot walks and picking up trash. Leading from the front isn't doing it all the time. Leading from the front is leading by example and being able to prove, hey, I can do this. This is your job. And then making sure they own that, and that's the biggest thing that's why I'm not part of the spotlight. I want to be in the background. I want to make sure my guys are good and that my team is rocking and rolling. That's another thing Zach said a little bit ago. I had a service manager that told me this. He's like, a measurement of a good service manager or a good, department is that if you can leave as a service manager for a week and you come back and the building hasn't burned down and things are still operating as designed, you've done your job. And I truly do live by that. And that's the thing is, so I don't want the spotlight. I want to talk to a bunch of leaders. I'd rather go talk to the technicians, the porters, and the advisors and help them better themselves, and the salesmen too. And, other sales managers or other service managers, I don't want to talk to a bunch of leaders. I don't want to talk to a bunch of general managers. They know way more than I do. I don't know anything about finance. I don't know anything about variable. I can't close a car deal. I don't know that stuff. And I never say I do. I'm terrified of that. I was a general manager for a month and a half. And it was like a month and a week and some days. And I was scared. Okay. I did not know what I was doing. I was just like, oh, they all know you and you're a good leader, Brian. You can handle this. And I'm like, no, I can't. And I mean that to this day. Not for me. So I hope that answered your question, Taylor, because it's the best.
It did. It did. Well, everybody, this concludes another episode of the Dealership Download. Make sure you tune in on Facebook and YouTube for last week's episode, this episode, and for next week's episode. Also, don't forget, my book is out on Amazon, so make sure you click the link and order that. And you guys have a good night.